When leaders all over the world need a 24-hour checkup from the neck up, they come and seek out this gentleman. Today we're going to step on board his yacht called the Dream Builder, and we're going to ask him questions like, what are the 3 key essentials to building a huge organization? We're going to talk to him about who's in his inner circle and who he takes advice from, and we're going to even chat about what were 2 of the biggest obstacles he had to face on his journey to becoming a successful leader. So come on board, the Dream Builder. Hey, this is Jonak, and boy do we have a treat for you. I just found out one of the greatest guys that understands and explains and leads in the field of leadership. So come on, let's check this out. This is exciting, we gotta go quick. We're not gonna find him in here because he's actually out there. Now watch your step. We gotta walk a little carefully because underneath here there's this heron, I think that's what it's called. It's a big white bird. It's got little baby eggs, and sometimes it comes out at night, and almost fell in the pool last night. I said we were going on this boat here. We're gonna catch ourselves a leadership guru here. Hold on, come on. When you see a yacht that says Dream Builder on it, you know we're getting pretty close to some good information. There, check it out. All right, we're on board the 76-foot Dream Builder. Let me see if they're in here. Hold on. This little red button here, it's just like James Bond. Put it down. Door opens. Nope. Doesn't look like they're in here. Well, they might be up front, but that's probably not right, and they're probably not in the master suite at noon. Maybe they're upstairs. You don't even have to close the door, it just closes. It's really cool. Come on up. Aha! I think we found them.
Hey there!
Orrin Woodward, I didn't even have to use a net. There's Orrin Sala. Sala, and we're gonna sit down here in a little bit, and we're gonna ask some questions. We just posted on Facebook.com and Twitter.com. We said, hey, we're gonna get Mr. Orrin Woodward for a few quick video shots, and if you can send us your questions. And in the last 10 minutes, we got a whole bunch of questions already. So let's see what people want to know. So we'll be right back. Hey, this is Jonak. I'm here in sunny Florida. We're in December, what?
7th, 8th?
Nobody knows. 7th or 8th. I'm sitting here with Mr. Orrin Woodward on Dream Builder, and I thought it was a great name for a yacht. And we thought we'd shoot just a couple short videos. We posted on Facebook a couple questions. We said, hey, we're about to shoot a video with Mr. Orrin Woodward specifically on leadership, and we quickly had a bunch of people ask questions. And so let's just get into the meat and potatoes, so to speak. Melody Johnson, who is just on a cruise with us here, she says, what are the 3 key essentials to leadership in building a massive network marketing organization?
Well, in Chris Brady, in my book, Launching a Leadership Revolution, we talk about the 3 core keys for all leadership is hungry, honeable, and honorable, the 3 H's. And so if you dig into that chapter, it's like, if you don't have hunger, you're not going to be a leader, because it doesn't matter where you begin, it matters where you end in leadership. And so that hunger is what drives someone to dig in and say, man, there's a gap between where I want to be and where I'm at, and you just got to go after it and start researching, find people that are good at that area where you're struggling, and really become a student of what they're teaching. So that's the hunger.
And just for the record, it's not hunger like belly, because we just ate something called rumagrat. You got Orrin there, you can see him. You can pan to him if you want, yeah. Say it properly. How do you say it?
Rumagrat.
See, no matter how hard we try, we don't have the competence for that. But it's an amazing porridge from Norway, and My daughter Julie just made that, but we're full. But the hunger is really that
mental hunger.
Mental hunger. All right, so that's number one. What's number two?
Honeable. And that means it's an engineering term where it's like you hone a piece of steel, make adjustments to it. And that's so important in life. It's like people are like, well, I'm not good. I'm just not a people person. It doesn't matter if you're a people person to start. It matters that if you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to develop into a people person to end. You're going to have to be honeable, willing to make adjustments. I mean, I was an engineer, and people skills was not high on the list of criteria to be an engineer. I worked with parts, and they didn't talk to me, and I didn't talk to them, or if I did, I didn't admit it to anybody, you know.
And they never talk back.
That's right. That's right. At least I wouldn't admit it, you know.
Cool. So that's number two. So we got to be honeable, which means, hey, we've got to admit the fact that we don't know everything.
That's right.
That's kind of one of the steps of leadership. So hunger, honeable, and number three is
honorable.
Honorable.
And that gets into character, and that's doing right by your people, doing right by yourself, doing things not so you can learn manipulation techniques to take advantage of people for yourself, but do stuff honorable. Look always win-win or no deal, as Stephen Covey would say. That's such an important principle to me. In fact, the most important principle, because what a shame to learn leadership and then use it only for yourself or to take advantage of people. It's like you love people and use things. Don't use people and love things.
Okay, so let's say, Melody's asking this question. Do you look for all three, hunger, honeable, honorable, in a candidate for your business? You say, oh, they've got two, but not the third one, they're out? Or are these three that can be developed? Or, what do you look for? How does that work?
Certainly, they can be developed, because anything can if there's hunger. If there's no hunger, I would say the one that is absolutely essential that you're going to have is hunger. If I meet someone that in the past has had bad character, maybe had some bad breaks in life or caused some bad breaks in their life, I'm not going to give up on them, because I know that a leopard can change its spots in the right way. But if there's hunger, then I'm going to lead them. But if I know they've got character issues or honor issues, then I'm going to go right into that, saying, boy, if you really want this, then we're going to have to make some changes here. But I just never want to give up on anybody. And so, my attitude about leadership and networking is, if someone joins our team, then I'm with them for life, unless they quit on me, because I'll never quit on them.
And could the hunger be developed by sitting on a yacht, or is that really something that's there from the beginning?
If you, it's the old Southern saying: if you hang out with dogs, you get fleas. Yep. If you hang out with dreamers, you're going to get a dream. And so, here's the thing: we teach about making a friend. If you make a friend and surround your new friend with a whole bunch of dreamers, friends do what friends do, and they start seeing other people dream, and they start seeing other people accomplish material things or recognition things, or even legacy type issues where they're making a significant impact in their life. That inspires somebody else that maybe hadn't had that hunger heart, where all of a sudden they say, it's possible. If it happened to them, maybe it's possible. And that's my life story. I mean, so many things I messed up, so many things, but I got exposed to a group of people, crazy people like yourselves, that were willing to dream and say, what if? What's possible if you're really willing, daring to dream?
Friends do what friends do. I mean, it sounds weird. Like, what does that mean? Well, we all know what that means. I know for me it was, hanging out with friends that drank a lot of alcohol. Guess what I did? Drank a lot of alcohol. Friends that gambled a lot. But the flip side is true, because normally you look at that as the negative. Friends do what friends do, but the opposite is true too. Hang out with people who are dreaming and dreaming big and achieving. Guess what? That rubs off on you. Totally neat. So here we've been here for amazing. Thank you. Spend the 2 days here with you, and you do these things called the checkup, the 24-hour checkup from the neck up, right?
Yep.
We spend time with somebody for 12 to 24 hours, and it's one of the reasons that Orrin and Hilda, my wife Ann, are here, is to get our checkup from the neck up. It's who do we come to? And Chris Porter asked, she said, how big is Orrin's inner circle of people who he takes advice from? R.E., and then she puts in parentheses, if he took advice from everybody, he'd be running in circles. So how big is your inner circle of people who you seek advice from?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the quotes I always remember is, if you take advice from no one, you're not going to be successful. And if you take advice from everyone, you're not going to be successful. So where do you find that balance? And so I look for people that are successful in their fields. I was reading a book on Harvey McKay, and he's got a coach in so many different areas. He's got a ping pong coach, he's got a fitness coach, he's got a business coach, he's got a writing coach. And so it's the same type of principle. I seek out people that are excellent in a chosen field. That 10,000 hours, as Malcolm Gladwell talks about, to master in any field. And so I find masters in their field and then seek out, say, well, tell me, So for our, I look at the way you can do internet marketing and be able to share that. I'm like, man, I have no talent in that area. But if I'm your friend, then vicariously I have your talents because we're partnered in that area. And in the same way, so, I look at our policy council and our specific organization. That's an essential group where I respect them. They have results. And so when they speak on an issue, I'm thinking, I got to pause and ponder and think, boy, if they took the time to share that with me, there was a specific intent, there was a reason, and so I respect that, and yourself and others. So, I might have 10 or 12 people that can speak into my life because of the respect I have for them in their chosen field.
So these are people who have grown with you and earned the respect through results as well as mentorship. And then, of course, I'm sure books and so forth, these are mentors that you have that you never talked to, but they're mentoring into your life as well.
Yeah, John Wooden wrote a book on mentoring, and he said some of his best mentors were people he never met and were dead by the time he was born. People like Abraham Lincoln, etc. And that really spoke to me because some of the best mentors are from books that I'm reading from 1850 and before, but just so much wisdom has been captured on the human condition, and it's just a shame that people aren't hungry enough to really dig in and learn from experience, but preferably somebody else's.
Yeah. I just picked up a book and I was reading it in your office, and it looked at the copyright. It was 1947. There's so much good stuff in there. Some of you might have e-readers where you can download books just right onto your e-reader. I don't have one. My wife loves it. Orrin downloads a lot of books onto his e-reader before the year of
1937,
because they have a lot of information, but they're free also. So if you're thinking, hey, I can't afford that, then those books are all free. Just download them and start reading. Last question I got from Scott here is, what were one or two of the hardest obstacles that you overcame in your journey to become successful in the network marketing profession?
I think probably first would have been lack of belief. I would see other people accomplish great things, and I'm like, well, yeah, it would work for them. Look at who they are. See, I didn't understand at that point that you can become what you need to be. Like in networking, it's such a beautiful business model because it's not like everybody sees the finished product. When you bring up a new top leader and they see that finished product and they look at where they are today and they see this huge gap, and it can tend to be demoralizing. I could never speak like that. And the sad thing is they don't understand the power of 10,000 hours of planning, doing, checking, and adjusting of slight incremental improvements, a slight edge. And so that is one of the magical parts of the business, is that with improvement, slight improvement over time, that was a big step for me, is to get to that 10,000 hours and to be able to become the type of person necessary. And I didn't have the belief in that early, so I struggled for a long time, but I stuck around long enough to realize if they can do it, I can do it too. And that's what I tell everybody watching this video, is that if you stay the course, and if you're willing not just to stick around, 10,000 hours isn't just showing up to a meeting. 10,000 hours is showing up to the meeting, hearing what the speaker on stage is saying and saying, you know what, I'm not doing that in my business, and making the adjustments. 10,000 hours of planning, doing, checking, and adjusting, and you will win, period. Period.
Wow. And 10,000 hours is a long time.
Yes, it is.
But at the same time, it can go by very quickly if it's not focused 10,000 hours. And a lot of times in our profession and in business and in success, you'll hear people that say they failed miserably for the first couple of years. And the reality is that, that happened for me. I know your story that happened for you. And probably that's just part of the journey. That's what it is.
10,000 hours is going to happen whether you succeed in life or not. For most of us, hopefully. For most of us, if we're going to have 10,000 hours left anyway, why not pursue it in a pursuit of excellence versus a pursuit of mediocrity?
Nice. And a second one for Scott said there are two of the hardest obstacles. That's one.
The second one would have been just people skills in general, maybe even starting with my relationship with Lori, my wife. We struggled so much because both of us tend to be control freaks and, you know, want things done a certain way. And so my people skills in general were just, as an engineer, you know, I said before this business, if I were to write a book, it wouldn't have been how to win friends and influence people. It would have been how to lose friends under the influence, you know. It would have been a bestseller for, you know, all three of my so-called associates would have bought it probably. And so they were just so bad in that area. So I would go out, I wasn't showing 15 plans in the early days, I was showing 15 arguments. So, you know, if you're saying, man, I'm just terrible, I've been in for 6 months and nothing's happening, I'm like, hey, welcome to the club. Don't quit. Don't quit. And if you're not going to quit anyway, once you make that decision you're not going to quit, Art, then the next step is, well, then you might as well improve and really start going through that adjustment. So I would say the whole, you know, how to win friends and influence people, how to have confidence and power with people, I just studied that area and had to get my heart right to say, just love people. Just love people. And if you can lead with, I love people and I want to serve people, then a lot of the rest of the people skills things come together.
Yeah. Love people for where they're at and just stay one step ahead if you can, right?
That's right. Be patient with people, just as many people had to be patient with you.
Yeah, and they still are. So the good news is that if you feel like you're not a people person right now, that's a skill set that can be learned.
Absolutely.
You know, I went to engineering school, you went to engineering school. I don't remember a class, you know, how to win friends and influence people 101. I mean, it wasn't there, especially not for engineers. Maybe some other specific, you know, classes or you know, law attorneys or somebody might have been taught that, but not engineers as much. So.
All right, let me give you an example of just how bad this was. And a lot of people say, Orrin, are you making these stories up? You know, my very last class at General Motors Institute, now it's called Kettering University, my last class was a social engineering class, and they did a kind of a personality test. And they lined up, there had to be 50-some engineers in the class, and they lined them up from the most social, people skill oriented to the least. Now, out of 50-some students, I was second to the last. I mean, literally, the guy next to me was the original propeller head. I mean, he was so funny. He went through the class. He said, now, you guys are social-oriented. You're going to be great with people. You should go into top leadership, and, you know, you guys be middle management. He pointed. The teacher points at myself and the guy even further back than me, and he said, whatever you guys do, don't work with people. It's not your skill set. Go into a lab somewhere, get in a corner, and work with numbers, because that's your specialty. So as far as if you were to line it up and say who's qualified, because remember, that's 50 engineers. The whole class in general is already skewed over.
That's just a mean thing to do to engineers.
Yeah.
In general.
Right.
Based on their
Right. And so here I am, and it's like, and to say that, so can you imagine when I see the plan and they say that it's a people-oriented business? I mean, the only thing that brought me in this business was a hunger that, man, I wanted to be able to take care of my family. I wanted to live a lifestyle that I knew was impossible. You know, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing while expecting a different result. I knew it was impossible to get my dreams and goals continuing to be an engineer, so I was willing to change, even though I had been labeled so far off the chart that I should stay in a lab somewhere.
Right. And the reality is we've witnessed the journey here. I mean, we're sitting at an amazing, you know, estate that you and your family have created, and probably most of the engineers you knew, they didn't have an estate like this. And again, I love engineers. Orrin loves engineers. We love what, you know, people are experts in their field. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, if my dreams are that big and nobody in my field has accomplished them, then you might have to create a different path. And so that's fantastic. So thank you for those 3 questions. We're going to get Orrin Sala down here. He's going to ask a couple other questions that we got on Facebook, and there's probably a bunch more by now, but guess what? The early bird gets the worm. So the guys who ask the first questions get their questions answered. So we'll be right back with Orrin. Cool.
Sun's killing us.
Talk for just a few seconds.
Hey, this is Jonak, and I'm excited because a shark's going to come. Okay.
Now.
All right, this is Art Jonak. Hi, I'm sitting here.
Oh, I'm gonna see.
Yeah, just for the record, Policy Council is these are individuals who have earned through merit by accomplishing the highest rank in your team.
He's going after you.
He's ready to learn.
He's hungry.
He's hungry.
To participate in future opportunities like this one by asking questions or giving us your suggestions, feel free to follow Art Jonak on Twitter or Facebook.